Speaker and best-selling author. Mwah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Terry Brock, and today we got a special treat for you. You know I talk about relationships a lot. Well, today it's a real treat for me that I have my hero here, Jim Cathcart. He is a professional speaker in the Speakers Hall of Fame and a best-selling author in the areas of relationship. Jim, an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a treat for me.
Well, I know that we talk about relationships a lot, and you've been doing this for years. You've written about it, you've told many people and helped many people on that. I know that today we're looking particularly at how relationships are so important when times are tough economically.
Absolutely.
Are there any particular insights you have that you think we need to be aware of even more today than other times?
Well, I think when times get tough, when things restrict, then you have to use your assets more intelligently. Mm-hmm. And what I talk about these days is relationship intelligence and how to create and grow high-value relationships.
Oh,
so if you look at your life as a series of relationships, you know, any point in your life you could look at who you were connected with at that point, and that tells you a lot about that time and that level of operation, you know, level of success and so forth. When you change your primary relationships, you change your life. And you open up many new possibilities and close off some others. So I think we should be more intelligent about relationships, more intentional, more conscious of our relationships, and more relentless in developing them, you know?
Yeah,
just
because I talk
never
about
let up.
relentlessly relevant in relationships, so we're giving them value, and that's where it all has to come from, a basis in value for value relationships. But in the real world, we find that I'd like to have, like, everybody being my buddy. But in business, I found it doesn't quite work that way.
No, and especially in tougher times when you've got to allocate your time very carefully and you've got to kind of protect your assets, you want to make sure that you're more intentional than ever in selecting the relationships that have the highest leverage ability, you know, the ones that can really pay off for you, and you can be of great value to them. And that's important that you consider both sides of that.
Yes.
Because a high-value relationship is a relationship in which both parties are receiving a high level of value from it.
Yes, and that applies in business as well as personal life.
Absolutely, and value is always determined by the recipient, not by the giver.
Right.
So people can say, well, I give lots of value to my customers. Do your customers think it's value?
Yeah, they're the ones paying the bills. Hello.
Absolutely.
You've got to make sure that they are valuing that and
Absolutely.
go, we're going to value, and the way they do it is not just with their words, but they're coming back actually putting dollars down or pounds or euros or whatever the fungible commodity would be.
Yeah. Fungible. That is a cool
fungible.
word.
That's a good word.
Okay.
You know, they teach you that in school and you go, woohoo, it sounds impressive. So those are good.
Man.
Well, Jim, the thing is we've got to focus on that. So it seems like we've got to have certain criteria that we use.
Well,
what criteria do you find that helps to evaluate investing in this relationship versus that one?
First, you have to know what your desired outcome is, your goal. You know, people might say, well, not all our relationships have desired outcomes. Sure they do. Even a marriage relationship has a desired outcome. It just doesn't happen to be necessarily financial. You know, you desire love and support and encouragement and all that sort of thing.
I know some folks, some women from other places of financial, never mind, that's a whole different story.
But that's a different story, yes. But if I'm clear on what my desired outcome is for a relationship, then I know how much of my time and energy and resources to invest in it.
Yes. So you determine what it is. Kind of like, did you read my article yet?
Matter of fact, I did.
We were talking about that. I wrote my article, and then we built the video around that. And it's like Jim was giving a speech this morning. It was like almost parallel stuff. So we just we grok it together there.
Yeah, we're philosophically aligned, that's for sure. And when you look at your life and look at the desired outcomes you have, you know, whether those are goals you want to achieve, monetary figures you want to reach, people you want to connect with and enjoy the relationship with, whatever those desired outcomes are, the more of your relationships that contribute to those desired outcomes, the higher your likelihood of achieving success.
So it's real important to get clear on what you want to attain.
Vitally important, because what defines each relationship is the desired outcome of the two parties in that relationship.
Yes.
If what I want from our relationship is financial success, and what you want from our relationship is, say, just casual social times, then we're kind of at cross purposes, but maybe we can find a way to work that out. But we've both got to be clear on that, and I've got to be agreeable to achieving your goals, and you've got to be agreeable to helping me achieve mine.
So we have to listen to the other person. There's a concept.
Oh, yeah. Great idea.
Yep.
And more than that, we've got to go beyond listening to reaching agreement
Yes.
on what we're going to do next. or at least how
Exactly.
we're going to generally approach it.
Exactly. And then, as I say in the article, redeploy our resources. And we only have so much resource that we can use: time, money, and effort. And time is the most important one. So I can't be best buddies with everybody in the world. You have to restrict it and say, well, only this person, this person, and this person. But if we determine the quality relationship that we want and how we can provide value to them, then we begin the right way, and it filters all of the actions that we have.
Yeah, one way to think about that is think about your inner circle. Your inner circle is the 5 to 12 at the most people in your life that you get all your big results through, okay? And beyond 12, you're talking about the outer circle, and it gets bigger and bigger, and there's lots of people in your life. But there are 5 to 12, somewhere in that number, in your inner circle. And your relationship with those people is directly related to the ability that you have to achieve the results you're trying to achieve.
That's right.
So choose them carefully, cultivate them consciously, be intentional in improving every one of those, and actually measure in your own mind the quality of that relationship. You talk about the 7 levels of relationship. You know, if it's inner circle, they ought to all be going for a 7. You ought to be trying to get the people to the highest possible level of connection with you, where the trust is so great that the truth flows freely without restriction. And where both parties are committed to the success of the relationship.
Yes, and you've got that, because then it becomes a real value for value.
Exactly.
And you find, one of the things you and I were talking about before we started was relationships are organic, not mechanical.
Exactly.
I love the way you put that. And it's like they're going up and down, and sometimes a relationship will be here. Something can happen and it can slip and go farther down. Or it can be here and it gradually builds, and that's an ideal way to do it.
Yeah. And you don't just get to a certain point in a relationship and that's a set point, you know, that you're not going to drop below. It depends on the frequency of contact, the level of intimacy in that contact, you know, how open you were with each other. It depends on a number of factors. But if you're intentional about your relationships get better. Anything you measure tends to get better. You measure your food intake, you tend to be better nourished. You measure your cash flow and outgo, you know, you tend to take better care of your money. So measure your relationships and just get accustomed to keeping track of that in your own private notes and thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a non-quantifiable thing, so it makes it a little bit tougher.
Actually, it's quantifiable. But
how would you quantify that?
Well, one thing I look at is in every relationship in my inner circle, I measure the 3 essentials for a relationship to be a healthy, thriving relationship. Both parties are committed to its success, the relationship success. Open, frequent communication. So we tell each other.
Frequent being defined as?
It depends on the relationship. So it could be once a day or once a year. It depends on the nature of the
Once a
relationship.
year could still have a good relationship.
I would think.
For that, you've defined it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the 3rd essential is clear agreement. So you know what to expect from me, and I know what to expect from you. Because if we're not clear on our agreements, then we tend to have missed expectations. You say, well, look, I did this. Yeah, but I don't care about that. Yeah, but I did this for you. But I don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and
something about the platinum rule that Tony Alessandro talks about.
There you go. Do unto others the way they want to be done unto.
Yeah, listen to them and what they want.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So that's the way you can measure it, and you can actually, you know, quantify the level to which people are committed to the success of the relationship. I mean, these are not numbers that you can go with a book and a measuring tool and, you know, do it scientifically, but you can put numbers on it. Like your 7 levels of relationship, you know,
Yes.
you can put numbers on it that give you a guideline to know when you've progressed from one to another.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Well,
it
Jim, you
certainly
have a
does.
wealth of information. You have personally helped me enormously. I would not be where I am today without this man
You're
right
very
here,
generous.
Jim Cathcart. He has helped me a lot, and I would recommend, for your own betterment, get his stuff. Buy his books. You're going to put this much money into it, and it'll get that much, well, we're off the camera here, that much more value coming to it. Jim, somebody wants to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
They should call you.
Call me.
No.
Then I'll give them the way to call you.
Actually, I spend a lot of time in your audience now. I'm both in your audience online and in actual physical audiences at conventions, and I love listening to you, and I learn from you every time. But to reach me, just go to my last name, Cathcart, CATHCART.com.
And spell that again real slowly for those that are outside of the United States.
CATHCART.com.
.com. Great.
There
Jim,
you go.
thank you very much for
My
being with us.
pleasure.
An
Thanks for
honor to
having
have
me.
you here, sir.
Thanks, folks.